world, my name's Caleb, and today we're going to build out one of these cards in SwiftUI. Nothing too advanced, just something to get you started in SwiftUI development if you haven't already started. So let's go ahead, come over to Xcode, create a new project, and we'll go ahead and just pick iOS, go next, call this cards, go ahead and go next, and next. And now that we have Xcode up and running, just get full screen here, like so. We'll go ahead and close our side panel over here. We can come press that button, or I think it's Command Option 0 or something like that. Get our windows arranged, and we're just going to clean this up a little. So first off, before we build out the view, we want to build out the model or the object that we're going to use to represent the card data. So let's go ahead and do that first. And we'll do that by just going and adding a new file, like so. And we'll make it a SwiftUI view, though that doesn't matter too much, just kind of gives you a little additional code to get started with, but you can create any Swift view and Swift file and do that. And we're going to just call this one person card view, and go ahead and create that. And after doing that, I realized I said we were going to work on the model first, so let's get started with that. So we'll just come up here and go Control click, or you can do two finger or however you set it up, right click. And then if you press N on your keyboard, it'll highlight new file. So we'll just go ahead and do that. This will just be a generic Swift file, and we're just going to go ahead and call it person. And this is going to be pretty simple. We just need foundation, and we're just going to make a struct or structure in Swift, and we're going to call this person. So we'll go ahead and create a couple properties here. We're going to go ahead and create a header image, and this is just going to be of type string. So this just means, we can use a string to pass in a name of an image that we want to use. We're also going to have a profile image for their profile, obviously, and it's going to be string as well. And then we also want to have a name. So since we're building these little cards, and they're going to be like people cards, you've probably seen like a social networking app. I think LinkedIn is the general influence for this that I was looking at. And of course, a person, we're going to get their name using a string. And we're also going to have a follower count. So if I spell follower properly. And I think we did that. So follower count looks good. And this will not be a string. This will be an integer, so a whole number. And we're going to go ahead and create one more property. This one's just going to be called job title. So, again, this is a LinkedIn reference. So, it's a social platform where you see job titles and all that. So I think that's good for now, and that'll give us everything we need to build out the visual aspects of what this person struct would look like in our UI. So let's go ahead and go back to our person card view, and let's start working on filling out some information. One thing I want to do before we get started is maybe create a couple of these person structs that we can use for previews. And for now, we'll just go ahead and add it here. So here's two constants, really. We have one and two constants. And we have person one, which is just this person struct here. And then we're open parentheses, we're initializing it with a image called header image one, profile image, John Doe, Jane Smith, their follower count, and all of that. Now we do want to get the images here. You can use any image you want. I use a website called pixabay.com typically, and I used that a little bit, but I also just generated their profile images with Diffusion B, which uses stable diffusion, so it's just like an AI tool. So let's go ahead and bring those images in. So we'll go ahead and go up to our assets here, and I've just got a couple images. Let's grab this one, drop it in there, and we'll go ahead and grab this one, drop it in there. And then I think we also need the profile images there and there. That'll get us started. Now we have profile image 1 and 2 are named properly, but these images are not properly named. So let's go ahead and give them the proper name so that they'll be displayed when we use that string title. And I think this one, I'm going to go header image 1, and this one, we will go ahead and go header image 2. So with all of our assets in place, we're going to go ahead and go back to here, and you can see header image 1, profile image 1, and so forth. We have all that. The rest of this is really easy. We don't need any assets for it. And we go back and spend the rest of the time right in here building out our view. Now, one of the first things we want to start out with is we're seeing this entire iPhone, which when we're building out a smaller component, I don't think that's really necessary because we really want to just focus on the single component we're working on. At least I do. So first thing we want to do is go to our preview on line 19 or 18 and hit enter. Then we're going to go preview layout. So this overrides the size of the container for the preview, and we're just going to go dot size that fits. And it's not really going to do anything until we come down here and we hover over this. It says selectable. So we do that, and now we have our preview just showing the view we're working on. It's not showing anything else. We know that when we're building this view out, we're just getting hello world, because all our view is some text. So let's go ahead and work on that. And the first thing we'll want to do is line 10, we're going to go ahead and go enter a few times, and we're going to go ahead and create a constant, and that's going to be person, and it's going to be of type person. Now, we're creating this as a constant because this view would probably be created inside of a for each, and so for every person inside of an array we would be going through, we would pass in a constant person object or struct, and then we would use that to build out the view. So this view isn't really going to have any actions, or at least in our simple code here. So it really just needs a person. Now, this is where we need some dummy data, because you see it's missing an argument, person. So we can just click this and go fix. And again, not perhaps the best place to put it, but we put these two properties here. We're going to go ahead and just use person1, and we'll go ahead and put it right there. And now we should be good. So let's continue on building out the view and using some of this data we have. We're going to go ahead and command click on our text view, and if we just start typing in VStack, we'll get the embed in VStack. Go ahead and hit enter there. And next, we want to embed this in another stack, but this time it'll be ZStack. We're going to be doing a little bit of overlays here, and you could use ZStacks or overlays. Sometimes you mix them together, but we'll start with a ZStack. So before we get into any of the text, we actually want to use some of those images we got. So let's go ahead and go image. And these images are going to be provided from that person object. So we're going to go person dot header image, and our preview, look at that, update's really nice. See that little hello text right there? Pretty tiny, but works. And we're going to go ahead and make this a resizable image, like so. And that doesn't look amazing, but we'll go ahead and clean that up as well. We're going to go ahead and add another modifier called aspect ratio, and this one we're going to set the content mode to .fill, so an option that resizes the content so that it will, so it's all within the available space, basically. Or that's fit. That's the wrong one. We wanted fill, and the description for fill was uh, the option that resizes the content so it occupies all available space, both vertically and horizontally. So we'll go ahead and use that. And we're going to go ahead and kind of restrain this a little bit. So we're going to set the frame. And actually, if we go back here a little bit, if we type in frame and then before hitting enter, we can say, well, we don't want to really set the width and height and alignment. We really just want to set height. So if we start typing out height, you can see it gets highlighted there. Hit enter. We can just put in the value for that. So we'll just say 80. Nice kind of thin banner style image or header image. And then also just do one more modifier. I think will be all we need. We want to clip the image. Now we also want to add our person image, and it's going to be somewhat similar to some degree. So we'll go ahead and just be lazy and copy that. And then we'll just change this to profile image. And now we've got a profile image that's the same size, which is not exactly what we wanted. We want to go ahead and change a few things with it. Number one, we want to go ahead and change clipped to clip shape. And this way we can set a shape that we want to have clipping the image. And so we can put a circle or really any shape. I think we, if we made anything using the shape protocol, we could make some really cool custom shapes. But in this one, we're just going to use just a kind of a basic circle to clip our shape. And now you can see in the preview, that got updated to be a circle. We kept the height to 80 still. I think that'll be fine. And we also want to just give this one an offset a little bit. So let's go ahead and go dot offset. And our offset here, we don't want to offset it along our X or Y axes. So we're just going to change it on the Y axis. Let me rephrase that. And X and Y. We just want to change it along the Y axis. And we're just going to offset it by 40. So it's kind of like half below that image there. And we're also just going to give this view a padding, and we're going to make the padding be horizontal. So it's not right up against the edge, which obviously right now it's centered, so we'll have to fix that as well. And we're actually going to come down on line 30 here. Go ahead and clean this up a little by deleting that. And I think we're going to be done with our Z-stack. We will add an overlay on top of it. And I just think this will make it a little easier to set a button in the top trailing corner. So just add an overlay to the overall Z-stack without messing any of the images we're stacking up there or messing their alignment up. So we'll go ahead and alignment here. And we're going to go ahead and set it to dot trailing or top trailing, I think. Top trailing. And the overlay, we're going to go ahead and create a button. And when we open parentheses on this, we're just going to go action label. Oops, just action label. And here, we just go enter and completes pretty nicely. I think in the LinkedIn app, this gets rid of the view or removes it from the list. We won't do that now, but that's where you'd add the functionality on line 32 if you want to do that. But we'll go ahead and just worry about what's in the label part of the button, and that is just going to be an image. And in here, we're going to use a system image. And a good way to get to the images in Xcode is Command-Shift-L, which has all kinds of handy shortcuts, but we want to go over here to the symbols library. And for this image, I think it's called Xmark, and this is the hard part because there's like 2,000 of these or something. So there's a lot of different ones, but we want the fill. And now you can see we have a nice blue button right there. We're going to modify this a little bit because the blue, I mean, you can keep it blue, but we're going to go ahead and change it up just a little bit by going dot foreground color, and we're just going to go dot secondary. And that does blend in a bit, but it'll be fine for now. You can change it to something else if you want. We'll go ahead and add some padding as well so it's not right in the corner there. And yeah, I think, oh, that's a bit much. Let's go ahead and go 6. Yeah, it looks a little better. It's pretty dark right there. You could also just make it white. Yeah, but make it whatever color you like. And there's our overlay. Particularly if I was working on maybe a bigger app or something, I might, or would probably, I don't know, pull this button out in its own view so that the overlay code here would just be kind of like one line of code and would simply call, add another view and make a lot cleaner, I think, possibly. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. After that, we're going to go ahead and work on adding the titles for this card. So we're going to go ahead and come down here a little bit, scroll down, and we're going to go ahead and add a VStack. And in our VStack, we're going to go ahead and create a button. And we'll be doing kind of a similar approach as we did last time. Just open parentheses, bring up our action label, then enter. And again, we're not going to be adding any functionality this time. We're just building out the views. But what kind of functionality would you like to see, or see how to develop? I guess is so I guess like what kind of apps would you like to see developed? If I were to continue building out like tutorials that would be a little more in depth, either longer videos or a series of videos where I would be building out actual applications instead of just these simple little views. But figured this would be kind of a good start practice, just doing tutorials again, and also, you know, views are the building blocks for getting things, getting more complex things. Didn't mean to put an image there, so we're just gonna put text actually, and we're just gonna go follow. So this will be like a follow button, because everybody wants more followers, or I imagine they do, right? Get like followers or subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, hit the subscribe button if you're liking this long-winded tutorial. Yeah, we're gonna add some vertical padding there, but I don't want a ton, so I just put 4. And then we're also gonna go ahead and add some padding here, and we want this to be horizontal. So there's the follow button. Still, things are kind of stacked up a little bit and not looking great, but hopefully you're kind of seeing as we go kind of how the view is getting built out. I mean, you can kind of see it update and everything as we go. So hopefully it's, you kind of see each line is adding a little bit more to it. But, you know, you could also be more experienced with Swift and be like, oh, this is kind of basic, which it is, but that's fine. We also want to do, before we continue on from the button, we want to kind of give it a little bit of a, we want to give it another overlay. I do like using overlays a lot, so might see it a lot in the code tutorials that I make. But in this overlay, we're going to use a capsule, which is just kind of a built-in shape we get, and we want to give it a stroke. And for the stroke, we just want to give it a line width. So actually, I don't want style there. I want line width. I think it's stroke, yeah, line width. And this just is a numerical value. We'll give it 2. And now if we kind of see a little capsule shape follow button. So looks all right. Recording this a little later at night, so hopefully you don't hear my dog. She's snoring in the background a little bit, so apologize for that. So go ahead and go to line 51, hit enter, and we're going to go ahead and add some framed modifiers to this button. And we're going to specify a max width, and the max width is going to be dot infinity, which just kind of takes up as much room as it needs. Or as you can see, if we comment this out, you You can see the little blue box around that, and then when we uncomment this, you can see it takes up kind of, I think, oops, done. Well, gotta set the alignment first. If I can get that right. Affinity, and then we go alignment, and then we go dot trailing. But now you can see the view actually spans the entire width of its parent view, and then we set the alignment to the trailing. We could set it center by default or leading, but now it's starting to look pretty good there. And it's not all overlapping our views here, which need to clean that up. And kind of like what we did with the button here, we don't want this button also to be right up against the bottom and the edge of our view. So after we add the frame, we want to add a padding modifier. I think we can just give it default padding. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. This, I think this image is cropping wrong. Let's come back up here. Person image. Yeah, I think we can do fit. There we go. It's like, wow, that, I think we just saw his neck and his chin. Now we see him properly, so that looks a lot better. So fit. Just want to get the option that resizes the content to so it's all within the available space. So that works a lot better. I think we left off on line 50 here. And let's see, we're in our V stack. So let's go ahead and add the name. So we're going to create an H stack here. And we're going to go ahead and go text and open parenthesis, and we're going to go person. And we're going to go dot name. Now we should have John Doe. So that's looking good. Looks like the dummy data we added to the project. And we're going to go ahead and go dot font. And we'll make it a little more bold. Like so. Make it stand out, I suppose, a little more. Oh, and that's why. Font would be setting the size. We want to set the font weight. So, gotta remember the names of the modifiers. There we go. That looks better. And let's see. For the next one, we want another text view. And this one we're going to use some string interpolation, but first we want to add a, let's see, and then reasons. Oh, there it is. Just add a little dot. Oops. And just press the function key on your Mac keyboard. You get a little dot there. I forget what it's called, but if you popped up here, you go dot. Yeah, you search dot and get it that way. But we add a little dot, and then we will add backslash, open, close, and inside here we're going to go person dot follower count. And that way we can get our number, our dot, and our name all in this nice little H stack. I'm going to go back up here though, and on line 60, go ahead and add the font or not font, foreground color to dot secondary, and there we go. Kind of makes the name stand out a little bit more, and this kind of a little less prominent. So I think we're looking pretty good there. But let's go ahead and also add a similar frame modifier as we did over here on 52. So this modifier, I'm gonna grab that, and we just want to add it to our H stack here. But we don't want the alignment to be trailing like it is on the other one. We want to go leading. Oops, leading. And now we get it to be all the way over here. And of course, similar, we want to have some padding. So we're going to dot padding. And that looks pretty good. Maybe it's too low, so we don't want the vertical padding, but we do want padding along the bottom, and we do want padding along the leading side. So we'll create an array inside the padding, and in there we're going to go dot leading, and then separate that, and we want to go dot bottom. That looks a little better, but we still have a really big gap here. So let's go back to our VStack, and if you go Control Option Click, we get a whole bunch of options here. So I think we need to change the spacing maybe. Let's go ahead and comment this out. And maybe we really just need the padding to be leading here, because we are going to have another view under that, and that could have some vertical padding for spacing. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. I feel like we're a little off here, but let's continue for a little bit and think about what we need to do to tweak this. I think we did already clean up the padding a little bit. We didn't need the bottom padding there to specify. I think we just go leading, and now we'll go ahead and create the, I think, last view here, which is the job title. So we'll go person dot job title. Apparently it's my bedtime. Sorry, my watch just went, oh, bedtime. And now we have our job title. And this is going to be, I think we're going to use this frame modifier again. Seems like we're using that a lot in this one. Dot padding. Figure with the dot padding and this frame modifier, maybe it'd be time to make our own custom modifiers. If we're building out an app, maybe that would be worthwhile. So I think that looks pretty good. Maybe this gap's a bit big. Maybe this is where we need to add. So on line 67, this is maybe where we need to say we do need leading, because we don't want it right up against the edge there. And we do want bottom because we don't want it right at the, we don't want it like touching the bottom of the view. We want a little space there because we're going to have a kind of a card effect here. And there, that got that a little closer. I think that looks a little nicer. And I think we're pretty much done with the card view now. One of the things we would like to do is, right now we have this kind of primary background, or like the system background. We want to go to our VStack here, our outer VStack where everything's put into, which I think is, close up our ZStack here and some of these other views so we can kind of see where we're at. And yeah, VStack on line 69, and we're going to go ahead and add a background to it that's a little different color, so that when we put this in a list, it's not going to just blend right in. So I'll have a little separation. And we're going to use the dot system. And this is the system fill, so an overlay fill color for large shapes. And this is a card, it'll be a large shape, it'll be on top of our background, so I think that'll work. It darkens up a little bit there, but it'll look nicer when you put it in a list. Another thing we want to do is, right now we have these kind of sharp edges, and we want to give this a dot corner radius of nothing big, so 12. And yeah, you can kind of see it right there with the image, but it would be more noticeable if we put this in with a list of views. So it looks pretty much done, but we still have this image, the character profile, right in the center, which isn't what we're looking for. So we got to fix that. So let's go ahead and open up our ZStack here, and this is our person image right here. And when we highlight it, you can see it's actually highlighting above it, and that's because we're offsetting the image itself, but centered, which actually makes sense because SwiftUI centers everything by default. Let's go ahead and try our frame trick, where we just go frame, and we go max width, and we go dot infinity, and then we set the alignment to dot, not trailing, but leading. And there we go. We've now built out a card view which if we go into our content view here and we set this to fit and we cut all this out and we just create a list, and inside of our list we just create our person view, open parenthesis, it takes a person, so we'll go person 1, and then we'll just take all this, copy it, paste it in there, go person 2. Now we've got 2 people, but you can see this kind of padding and divider and all kinds of stuff we don't really want in our list. So we'll go dot list style, we'll go dot plain, and we will go dot list row separator dot hidden, and then I'll hide that line there, or maybe, oh, perhaps I have to put this on the actual view, like that, and that. And typically you'd do this through a for each, so you wouldn't have to do this every time, but there we go. Now we've got nice views that stand out a little bit. You can scroll and go ahead and build out more functionality. Hopefully this was a helpful tutorial. I have not made a tutorial in a very long time, so sorry if I was a bit rambly. We'll try to improve them going forward, and obviously this is a very simple view. Going forward, we'll work on building out more complex views or building out more complete apps. So we'll learn how to build out entire apps using the Swift programming language and the SwiftUI framework, and also look into frameworks like Combine. Yeah, if you made it this far, thank you, and comment down below. What did you like? What would you like to see more of? And until next time, stay Swifty.